In the garden city of River State, a tree that bears the flower of knowledge and peace, inspiring peoples with many a tongue to come and search and find the golden fleece for excellence and creativity. These words are succinctly captured in the song that has become the anthem of Nigeria's premier University of Science and Technology. One man, fired by an uncommon dream, spearheaded the journey towards the establishment of a specialized ivory tower, a world-class University of Science and Technology based in the oil-rich Niger Delta city of Port Harcourt, Nigeria.
When we arrived in Port Harcourt in 1968, we made it clear to all and sundry that we were people in a hurry. There was so much to be done, and we had to get to that level of excellence fast enough to be able to tackle the seemingly insurmountable problems. And so we acquired all schools, made them all government schools, pumped in a lot of money to rehabilitate them and to expand them. And we now realize that for the higher manpower, we needed an institution of higher learning, a university of our own. And so we went about that, only to be stopped by the modification of the Constitution to state that universities or colleges or schools of higher learning were now removed from the concurrent list to the exclusive list. And really, this was a big setback. So we had to go ahead and set up a College of Science and Technology to fill in that gap. As much as we would have liked to start off with a university, in fact, it would have been called the University of Port Harcourt. But then, you know, we even had the logo and everything ready, safely in my safe, only to be cut short.
In spite of the decision by the federal government to place university education on the exclusive list, the establishment of the former College of Science and Technology in Port Harcourt by the government of the young naval commander Alfred Papapriye Data Spiff in 1972 laid a solid foundation for the birth of River State University of Science and Technology in August 1980, within the first year of Chief Melford Okelo's administration as the first civilian governor of the old River State, with Professor T.T. Isong as a pioneer vice-chancellor. A very unique dream, and scholars and students from across the globe were part of a university that quickly earned for herself a pride of place in Nigeria. A total of 7 faculties and 5 institutes were established to run courses in various disciplines. The faculties include management, agriculture, science, engineering, technical and science education, environmental sciences, law, and a postgraduate school. Complementing the work of the faculties are institutes of foundation studies, pollution studies, education, RSUST Institute of Agricultural Research and Training RIAT, Geoscience and Space Technology, and Information and Communication Technology Center. With these faculties and institutes, the university promptly and uniquely took center stage in the frontiers of knowledge in Nigeria after it took over the assets of the former College of Science and Technology, setting the templates for science and technology education in Nigeria, with the major assignment of producing the much-needed manpower that would address the peculiar challenges of developing the Niger Delta region of Nigeria.
We wanted a science-oriented university, and that's what we were, to be able to produce the necessary manpower, especially in the specialized areas of environment, petroleum engineering, marine engineering, aeronautical engineering, law, and other art subjects also. But we wanted a specialized university with with a bias towards the sciences.
Less than 20 years after its launch in 1980, things changed. The university nosedived from her enviable height to a very despicable state. A university that was once the envy of all became a shameful image and institutional management. Infrastructure decayed due to many years of neglect by government and other stakeholders. Academic standards and ethics were compromised with a total breakdown of law and order. Consequently, and shamefully too, the university lost accreditation for over 80% of its programs in 2005 and was at the verge of being closed down when the government of Dr. Peter Odili attempted a rescue mission with the appointment of the Professor G.O.M. Tassier-led 9th Governing Council in June 2006. Facility inspection visit by a committee of the 9th Council 2006 revealed a most appalling and unhealthy condition of living for students.
How do we describe this place? People who live in the water side, is anything different? You describe it for us. How do we describe this place? Here. Did you go inside there? Try and go there. The size will not pass there. Did you go there?
A prevailing culture of resistance to change in the university marred the work of the 9th Governing Council. This led to its dissolution by the succeeding governor, Chibuike Rotimi Amechi, and the immediate appointment of Professor Bibi Fakai as Vice-Chancellor with a mandate to quickly rescue the ailing institution. The Justice Karibi White-led 10th Governing Council also came on board to add momentum to the mandate.
We were sworn in on the 18th of August, 3 years ago. And actually, we came in to fill up a confused state because the last governing council had been dissolved unceremoniously, just has been dissolved. And for quite a few months, nothing was happening. But fortunately, before then, they have started working, but were interrupted by this dissolution. So when we came in, things were very hazy, not so clear. But we started, notwithstanding. Started with a difficult, fairly difficult situation.
Fired by the dream of the founding fathers of the university, the Vice-Chancellor, Professor Barineme Beke Fakai, went full throttle with appropriate funding from the visitor to put the university back on the course for which it was established. And things began to turn around.
Let me say, without being immodest, that I've been in this university for close to 30 years. And from 1989 to now, I've been in the Senate without any break. I was elected member of council, representing Senate, the 8th council, 9th council, and 10th council before I became a deputy vice chancellor. And I had been head of department, was head of department of mechanical engineering for 14 years. I was dean of faculty before I got to this position. So I was able to tell you that I know so much in and out of this place.
As an alumnus of this university, I would want to compare my time when I was in school and now. While we were in school, you hardly finish a full session and see your results. It was very, very difficult then. But like I see, the students now are really enjoying because of the e-system we have now. At the end of the session, even at the end of a semester, you're able to see your results and at least judge your strength for that semester and know how much input you would have for the next semester. Apart from the academic basis, we look at the infrastructure. Students learn in a good and conducive environment. If you look at the university environment, I think it has a way of impacting knowledge also and making the students have the zeal to study, which is the basic thing they came here to achieve. So you can judge every student based on his personal performance. Not like when we were in school, when we were as much as 700 in a class. You strive, and at the end of the day, you see yourself coming out not as you ought to be, but because you probably didn't have a personal relationship or personal contact with your lecturer, for the lecturer to know that this student is actually okay. As it stands now, I don't think they are up to 200 in a class. And with that strength in a class, a lecturer will be able to assess every student in his class.
I think that we have made tremendous progress in the last 4 years. I actually became Deputy Vice Chancellor in the last 2 years. That's in 2009. But from when the Vice Chancellor came, Professor Fakaya, to this time, so many things in the right direction have happened. And I say that without embellishing anything and without any fear of contradiction.
A journey round the faculties and institutes 4 years after his assumption of office as Vice Chancellor shows a clear departure from the frightening image of decay of the past to a purposeful adventure into a future of excellence. What did he meet on ground when he assumed duties as Vice Chancellor?
The old site was, if I use the word, if people who had known Port Harcourt before, was like Bundu Waterside. The walls around the university had holes where people were selling Indian hemp through, those holes. And since the university was established, none of the walls have ever been plastered. They were made as walls, and you could see the chalking lines. And we have come. And through the help of the visitor and his encouragement and what he had to pump in, you can see even the walls can tell you when you enter that this is an ivory tower and citadel of learning. We now also decided to look at our environment. But let me say, this did not happen until we really considered that there were people who were going to grade us. NUC has a number of guidelines of how the university should be. And that is why we now have to focus very much on infrastructure before the first accreditation exercise.
Rivers State University of Science and Technology is recording a major first in information technology. She hosts a very robust culture of electronic management protocol.
The truth is this, I didn't see anything compared to what we have now. The few computers we got were not on any network. They were the CTR type of monitors. And when we came in, we made sure that we were using, flat screens and made, as it were, a type of slogan that everybody in the university has to be ICT compliant. And that's why we went with the simple slogan that I've mentioned: learn computer by use of computer. So there wasn't any internet coverage in the sense in which we have it today. So we brought the university under a cloud of, internet, which we ran through for over a year and got people addicted to use of ICT. And that is where we are now.
The Adaptive E-Learning Center. We are preparing the place for post-UME. And you remember that the post-UME online is one of the things this university started. Now, this is the E-Learning Center. Yeah, we are on now live. This is the E-Learning Center, which is a place we are using for the post-UME online. You can see the number of computer systems we have. The very interesting thing about this computer system is the MSI systems which you have here does not even need you to use a mouse. They were saying that people who are not computer literate, we said there's no problem, that we put a slogan on our own website on the door as you enter. We say, you may not know computer, but do you have fingers? That's not as if that people who don't have fingers cannot go. But You don't need to use the mouse. You just touch the right answers and then you move to the next phase. But let me say, the e-learning center is one innovation that this university had to put in place to make sure that we have enough computers that our students can use. Truly speaking, we have over 1,000 computers that are online, and that being the case, it means that we are able to take at each set up to 1,000 students, to come on to taking their exams. And the advantage of this is this, that when you take exams online, you get the result there and then. We don't wait until lecturers finish marking. The biggest problem we encountered when this administration came was that we had results that were some 4 years old, 3 years old, and the university regulation said if you fail a course in the first semester, you should take it the next year first semester. But unfortunately, the children would not see the result even the next year and the year after. And so when you are now coming to say you want to now collect their result, you see that they have a lot of empty spaces.
Is the university providing services to other establishments?
The National Open University used this as center for 33 days. The last sessional exam they had to take. We are the main center. And for your information, the forthcoming JAM is no more going to be the one that you carry paper and run about. It's going to be paperless. And our university, the RSUST University of Science and Technology, is one center in the East where it's been verified by JAM and certified that it's where the post-UME can be done. The place is totally tundra. You can see cold enough, which means children should not, run into any stress. You remember the RSUST University of Science and Technology was the first state university, then the first University of Science and Technology. The whole idea by the dreams of the founding fathers was that we will continue to be, on top. And that justified why we're saying let's move over to a system that is controlled by e-technology.
Did you meet this?
No, these are all the things we have to set up from the scratch. We thought about the idea, planned this, got the number of systems. We've actually extended. If you were here last year, we just stopped about here. From here onwards, you had computers. You now found the place here totally empty. But this time you can see that the whole place is already fixed up, and then we are having all the systems tested and they are working quite fine. Within here in Nigeria, it may look new, but this is exactly what you have outside. And the mind of the Rivers State government is this, that not everybody will have the money to travel to England, to travel to Malaysia, but it is possible within the resources we are having to produce the best in terms of the school system. And I believe that's why maybe the new primary schools are being done. The new secondary schools are even looking like better than universities in a number of places. So you can imagine what the university should look like. And that is why we are saying this is just the beginning of the type of thing we want to put in place. The Rivers State government is very determined to make this university world class. All what we did, even at the first time, was to put the university under a cloud of internet. And all what that meant that everybody got the signal. Even those in Eagle Island got the signal. For a whole 1 year, nobody paid anything. And all what we needed, what we were doing, we got people addicted. It's interesting to look at this side. You can see nothing is standing up here. But what we are doing is this. This place is also ready. And you can see the amount of laptops, for people who now find it this thing. You can see that we've just made it. And you think nothing is happening here. No, we've done that. Sometimes we have executive training, and we'll get on to, this point. Here you have those who use mouse traditionally. Then you have those who don't know how to use mouse. They use the MSI system, which are all touch screen. These are all arrangements we made to accommodate, everybody. And this is the type of thing you may not find elsewhere. But I think we're the first University of Science and Technology. We are supposed to be the best.
Yes, we have enough resources within the center to meet up with the challenges. And you can see the present management of the university has the IT vision, and therefore has provided enough. We have enough computers. We are self-sufficient in terms of utilities. Yeah, the difference is clear. 5 years ago, our record-keeping system was very poor. It was difficult for us to know the total number of students at any time in this university. It was difficult for us to give accurate account of school fees payment. It was difficult for us to keep university results of students. It was difficult for us to produce transcripts. Today, transcripts are easily obtainable. At the end of the program, they are all within the system. At the touch of a button, the transcript is produced. Today, the total number of students, you know at any time, because registration, as they are registering, you can pick up the numbers. Accounting, fees, other records, staff, database, everything is now properly recorded and available at any time when you demand them. So it's quite a lot of difference between now and 5 years ago.
What you've seen is the post-UME exam that is going on. This is the third time we've tried to conduct it online. The very first time we did that, we were about the first university in Nigeria to do that, and it was all hue and cry, against that. Of course, you know what happens in the world. People are always resistant to change. I'm happy that today you've seen how effective this is. It's eliminated a lot of things that created problems for us in the past. They just come in here, take the exams. The results are out. At the end of it, the students simply click and know what they scored. Paperwork is eliminated. One person alone can vigilate the whole of the class, because the questions are arranged in such a way that number 1 for one person may be number 20 for another person. So there's nothing like anybody spying or communicating and all that. So it's eliminated all the problems that we had in the past. And when the scores are out, nobody will now go and say he was undermarked or whatever. And it makes work so easy. And because it's stored in the system, of course, it can be retrieved and looked at again if there's. So, I mean, the university has moved so many strides, different from what it was 1 or 2 years or 3 years behind for now.
Came here to write our post-UME, and as you can see, I just finished mine about going home. Wow, for me I would say it's very, very good. I like that because as in everything just went smoothly. There was nothing like disturbing in the sense of, maybe we use pen or book, as in talking with neighbor, but there was nothing like that. A person with his own system in front of him, just on your own, doing what you know you can do. So I find it very good. I think it's better.
I come to sit for my post-UME screening exercise, of which I have done. Well, it's okay, it's very nice, not stressful. You just go in, sit on your number, write your exam, receive your score there immediately, and know your performance before going home. No stress, no stress.
My own vision is in line with the vision of the university to become a world-class university. We are looking forward to a paperless university. Seeing the environment of the university, the facilities we have now, you can be sure that our products will come out very fine, very well. You can see how transformed the university is. People come here to look at our environment. We are no longer displaying the, what do they call it, a glorified secondary school, but you can see the features of the university right now. So I think we are in the right direction.
What's the central role of the Faculty of Management Sciences?
Yeah, the Faculty of Management Sciences is very unique. In fact, I might even describe the faculty as the bird that lays the golden egg for the university in terms of internally generated revenue. We offer programs in the areas of accountancy, banking and finance management. marketing. Recently, we upgraded our Secretarial Administration Department to Office and Information Management in line with the direction the present university is going in providing IT services for different subsystems of society.
There's improvement in the school. We are using the computer system, but before we were using our manual typewriter for exam and other classwork, but now we are using the computer.
Which is more better, the typewriter era and the computer era?
It's the computer because it makes work easier for us.
Is that point clear?
Yes, sir.
So you guys are doing very, very well, and you're representing Mass Communication Department very, very well.
The university runs a first degree program in mass communication and has a license to operate a 5-kilometer radius community radio.
Well, the mass comm department, I think, is doing extremely well, because when we started, we had interim accreditation. Then the last accreditation, we got a full accreditation, and in the course of the accreditation process, we also got a radio station. The Vice Chancellor personally went to Abuja to receive the license. It's a big ceremony, being granted a license, so he really went to receive it from the MBC. So, and that also assisted us in getting the full accreditation, because when the team came and saw our radio station and the television studio, they were very, very impressed. And I think that must have contributed immensely to our gaining a full accreditation.
The institution goes with the toga of a unique and uncommon University of Science and Technology. What, therefore, is the justification for the establishment of the Faculty of Law in a Science and Technology University?
Law is central to human society. For any human society to thrive, there must be orderliness. Science, we accept, and indeed technology, drives the advancement and the development of any human society. But for science and technology to achieve its aim of advancing human society, it can only work and it can only be effective in an orderly society. So law sets the framework on which and within which science and technology could achieve, its aims. Since the first time it turned out a first graduates in '85, we found that our graduates have fitted into the human resource requirements, not just of the Niger Delta, not just in law as a profession, but indeed in all spheres of life. We have them in all the ministries, we have them on the bench, we have them in the industry.
In the recent past, the 30-year-old faculty had been bedeviled by a perennial problem of overpopulation, for which reason some students that have concluded their studies have not been able to proceed to the Nigerian Law School. Has this problem been addressed?
The university management now has addressed decisively the issue of admissions, that we've been able to stem it. The over-admission, of course, posed a problem of having a backlog of graduates, having to wait for a year or two before they go into the Nigerian Law School, where they qualify as lawyers. And the Nigerian Law School, the Nigerian Council of Legal Education has been quite helpful. We've had, at least since I came up into the office, we've had such concessions beyond our quota. The quota of this faculty is 250 candidates to be admitted. And in the year 2009, we had 90 concessional slots. Yes. And in the year 2010, we had 95 concessional slots. So gradually, we've been able to fix our graduates into the Nigerian Law School, and it's clearing up. Why you should send your child to this university to study law. As we speak today, this faculty is the only faculty of law in Rivers State. And we have not less than 30 years old. We undertake quality teaching because we believe that teaching is essential for sustainable development. So education occupies a very central position. Although you could see a class filled with students, that tells you the increase in interest. The interest is on the increase year in, year out for persons to undertake the study of law program.
It's not all rosy with the Faculty of Law. The faculty needs large lecture theatres, and this facility can be turned into a world-class multimedia conference centre that can also generate incomes to the university.
I should say a parent faculty of this university. And of course it's unique in the nation. In fact, it was the first faculty of this university at the inception, coming from the days of College of Science and Technology. We service the whole of the university in science, anything science. Every design, every test, every experiment that we've done scientifically has to be done here in this faculty. Scientifically, I'm talking about physics experiments, chemistry, biology, and of course mathematics. We carry out research in different areas. In physics, we have a number of researches going on in plasma, in solar physics, and also in the radiation physics. We do all this. We are also into space physics. In mathematics, there are a lot of modeling going on to see how they can combine all this into the computer system also and see what we can get out of this. The university has grown. It got to a point where we grew very well, but there was a little period between our growth and now when we were sort of choked up with the social system of Nigeria. We started having things like cultism, laxity coming in, and the environment, because of two things, I must say. Neglect by the people that were in power then, and then also so much powers were given to students so that they tend to have forgotten why they were here. So there was that little time that we had that problem, but luckily I think we're getting out of it, because since the arrival of this VC, the environment is clean, the cultism thing is dying out, the classrooms are becoming something better, far than before.
Within this faculty, we have 5 departments, namely architecture, estate management, land surveying, quantity surveying, and urban and regional planning departments. 3 of these departments are currently accredited, and the departments of land surveying and architecture, we are preparing them for the next round of accreditation visitation. The faculty has been very much at the forefront of efforts that have been made by multinationals and recently the international community in trying to solve some of the environmental challenges of the Niger Delta. Specifically, the socioeconomic study for the Niger Delta Environment Survey was centered at this faculty, and most of us professionals participated. And very recently, the United Nations Environment Program also retained the Department of Estate Management and the university to assist them get into Ogoniland and do the environmental survey that is currently the talk of the town. Also in terms of planning for the Greater Port Harcourt,
our survey department is directly involved in part of the survey work that was given out by Greater Port Harcourt Development Authority. So generally, we are involved in building the Niger Delta environment. We have professionals who have been recognized the world over, all working in this faculty.
To the faculty and the school, I'll give very great mark because it's wonderful. The works are good. At least today we could manage. There are boards sent in, like the architecture department. But then this, my year one, we had to construct drawing boards for ourselves. But today, there's improvement on that part.
In fact, our land surveying department now, in spite of not being accredited, is one of the best equipped land surveying departments in the country. There are equipments this university has in that department which no other university has been able to acquire.
This faculty is to train students to a level where they can work in various establishments related to agriculture, and also possibly have enterprises, agricultural enterprises of their own. In other words, we also aim at training them to be able to take up agriculture as a challenge and work in the various disciplines where we are training them to graduate from. That is the basic objective of this faculty. And I'm quite glad that the facilities we have acquired recently by virtue of university management have placed us in a situation where we can train the students a lot better, a lot better than we were doing before, especially at this time that we are waiting for accreditation teams to come to look at our various programs. Recently, however, we've had an encouragement from the River State Sustainable Development Agency that hopefully will now begin to give some sort of stipend, some sort of supplement. I wouldn't like to call it scholarship because of the amounts involved, to students who are enrolling in agriculture, River State students for that matter. I think that is likely to increase the enrollment into this faculty. But now, a number of my students are likely to benefit from the Songhai Farm Initiative of the River State Sustainable Development Agency in terms of IT.
The important thing about Faculty of Agriculture has been that, for a long time, the place was totally neglected. And so it was one of those departments that were, or faculty that was claimed to have accreditation. So when we came 2007, we didn't bother so much about it because we thought it was all okay. But when I came down here and found that they had everything broken down, things didn't look okay. And more so, we are now going to face accreditation. We now started making sure we put things in place. We have here the farm shop and offices. That's where all the agri products, animals that are killed, will be sold. Then up from here, you look down there, you'll be able to see the abattoir. We believe that we should be able to raise animals that we will now kill in a very, clean environment. It's vermin-proof, and it has all the facilities for slaughtering. We're able to quarter. You won't see blood come out at all because we have the thing at the receptacle where everything goes in. So you are not going to see flies, and so with that, all the conditions, we now can move the product into the farm shop. Then at the back of that, you have the piggery unit. It didn't exist. It was all, broken down and fell off. This is actually brand new in a way. We've just finished. You see, we are trying to stock the place. It was so bad. Now you can see that we have some clean fellows here. You can understand. You normally think pigs are dirty, but you can see how clean these ones are. And for your information, there is no time you are going to see. That is the area where they defecate. They will never, 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 never sleep near there at all. So these are what we call, you know, the large white. See, these are young animals that we've just brought in. These little ones you are finding here, these ones were farrowed in here. Okay. You know, just the past few months we brought the animals. You can see that we started raising piglets. But the most important thing is that the environment is very, very clean. That's University of Science and Technology. Actually, the university ought to be the place where people come to learn how they can practice outside. Now, this is the larage. This larage is now supposed to now hold the cattle that we are bringing in. We are bringing in, you know, animals. Last time they had a very unfortunate event of animals disappearing. No more like that now, because this good security, nice place to hold our animals. It was not like this before, because here call boys wouldn't even allow you stay. But now it is a picnic site. Yes, some people can come under and get into our plantation, and they now find that this. By the time some people will not believe this is the UST.
They need to light up.
No, now we want to do that. Now we want to do that. If you all here, do you now see the street lights? If you look across, you can see. You know, down in the night here is as if you're in Dubai. You know, so this is the type of thing. Now, having said that, this is the feed mill for the faculty. And then looking beyond that, you have the veterinary clinic, teaching and research laboratories. At the back, you have the poultry farm. Then we are still having the goat and the rabbitry unit there.
Well, the faculty is very unique, just as the university is unique. It's an uncommon university that was set up by the founding fathers, and they decided that there should be a faculty that resembles the mission and dream of the entire university, and that is why it is called the Faculty of Technical and Science Education, which is not there in any university. It's very, very unique to this university. And since the faculty came on board, the faculty has been fulfilling that mission of the founding fathers in the area of developing effective and efficient teachers who will contribute to the development of education in Nigeria. Our staff are already benefiting. In the last 4 years, we've witnessed an establishment of science laboratory, science education laboratory, where our students now do their science practicals outside the Faculty of Science. I think it's a major achievement, and a lot of infrastructural development. Some of the classrooms have been renovated. ETF, through our Vice Chancellor, has also supplied us a number of chairs and tables to furnish the office. There's no faculty like ours in the whole Nigeria, Faculty of Technical and Science Education. Very unique. If you look at even Shell and this oil company, they have community relations officers, people who go to douse crises in the communities. So we are training them and equipping them with such capabilities to enable them function as appropriate.
Yes, we've seen a lot of developmental projects going on in the university, but the university still lacks staff accommodation. What I mean staff accommodation, lecturers have no offices. For me, I don't have an office. So I'm operating between my house and the classroom. Probably my car becomes part of my office. But I think by time, all these things
would have been dealt with. I think for infrastructural reasons, a lot of infrastructure has been put up before. We had don't have much classrooms for exams, but we see these things cropping up here and there. ETF doing their bit, University Administration also doing their bit. I think it is a good omen.
The university primarily is, in any part of the world, is established to teach and graduate students in various fields, including engineering, and also to do research, to developing new and better ways of doing things, particularly technology. Now, technology itself is the practice of engineering. So this university was named University of Science and Technology, and the Faculty of Engineering was there to really, if you will, consummate that idea of interpreting engineering in a way that the ordinary man will benefit. The University of Science and Technology, like every university, teaches and graduate students also in engineering, the various fields in engineering. One of them is agricultural and environmental engineering. The second one is civil engineering. There's also electrical and computer, chemical and petrochemical engineering. There's the marine engineering, and there is the mechanical engineering. There has been quite a number of outstanding research work in this faculty. There was this case of the chemical, petrochemical engineering with Dr. Ovuru, who developed some useful materials that are selling on the market. In my department, we have been able to develop this horizontal oil palm press was developed here. The first research we did was at Ife. At Ife, the first two were ordered by the then Bender State government. When I came down here, I continued the research, and the farm now, close to 22 years now, built a small-scale palm oil mill, in which the horizontal digester was the major part. Nigerian Engineering Works, you have been there, okay? They have agreed we are going to have a pact with them, in which some of the products that they hitherto imported from outside will be produced in that laboratory as soon as it's commissioned. There's also, we entered into a pact in which they have a lot of material, but they don't have testing equipment, and we have them here. So now they will be coming to test their materials and products to a certain quality for the market.
And the context is to raise a high-level manpower that will meet the demands of the state as well as Nigeria as a whole. It's difficult to say whether we have realized that goal or not, because we are still in the process of training people with higher degrees. But we started some years back. This school had been on since the mid-80s, this graduate school, and we've been training people with higher degrees. Some of them are found jobs in industry, some are found in tertiary institutions like this. But to larger extent, I would say we are gradually meeting the needs for which this place was established, yes. This university is the first university of science and technology in this country. Because it's the first university of science and technology, we think we hold a prime role in the development of science and technology in this country. And before the advent of this sorting in schools, which is a universal disease in the whole tertiary institutions in this country, this university used to pride itself with the graduates we produced. If you go to industry like NNPC, you look at the engineers in NNPC that are from this university, they hold prime positions. It has changed in the sense that the adulteration It is not a unique thing to UST. It's a national phenomenon. The standard of education has dropped a little bit in our country. And it's unfortunate because when you see strikes that are endless strikes by the Academic Union of Nigerian Universities, strikes that could be averted, and somehow, I say they could be averted because if government have entered into agreement with the unions, government should be able to honor that agreement. A situation where government enters into agreement with unions and it takes strike to the implementation of that does not augur well for the university system. Because these times lost, you can't quantify them in monetary terms. Currently, we are running about 1,500 postgraduate students. But there are some structural changes and administrative changes we want to do so that we can improve the quality of our higher degrees. For instance, we want to peg how many students, master students and PhD students a staff can effectively supervise. That way we will increase the commitment, improve the commitment of the supervisors and improve the quality of our degrees.
Human beings and the humanity aspect of our life is very important. If, for instance, you study engineering with machines, you're not coming out to deal only with machines. You will deal with human beings. You work with human beings in your workshop or in some other places. You have to understand human beings. Consequently, the Institute of Foundation Studies humanizes you, gives you that humanity aspect, perspective, and development, which enables you to interact with persons you meet wherever or you work with. That is why you must study the courses offered in the Institute of Foundation Studies. Some of them are philosophy, psychology, which deals with human and animal behavior, and there is nothing we do every day that we do not interact with people. If you do not understand people, you can't work with them, you can be frustrated, and you might even decide to commit suicide. We study African history. We service all the 7 faculties in this university. The things we do are appreciated, you understand? So we give all our support, we generate new ideas, we are supported to attend conferences, at least that you are granted permission and encouraged to forge ahead. You are encouraged to go out and meet with others at the international level. That is commendable. Oh, sure. Oh, sure. Many of us are professors. There was a time in the River State University of Science and Technology, you will find the highest number of doctorate degree holders in this institute. Similarly, we have professors. That shows hard work.
The oldest bachelor's degree in broadcast, in broadcast and radio TV in Old River State. I trained CNA Razak Lawal in NBC.
Hey, Razak Lawal. She's not Orwell Brown.
Yes.
Orwell Brown.
Yes.
Just come back to Orwell Brown.
Bernard Graham Graham Douglas Bernard graduated 2 years after me. The comfort of standing in front of class you derive from that expressivity of a broadcaster and all that, and your delivery, the kinetics involved in delivery is there. And I have recently written to the VC suggesting that students of law should take a course in voice and articulation under mass comm, because in the university I side by side Juris Doctor students in voice and articulation. Because it prepares them for reality of legal practice. And even there, my alma mater, they also took courses in theater arts. Because, American legal practice, the kinetics of court, presentation counts a lot, especially with the jury. You can do some dramatization, feign some tears here and there.
was quite a long time. I came here 1985. Sure, I did, Rex. I have that creative ability, and I made it possible for the university to gain from that talent of mine, in conjunction with Professor Adam Fibresima's wonderful talent in musicology and things like that. Yeah.
The institute was established following the peculiar nature of the Niger Delta terrain. At the time, in the early 80s, the founding fathers felt that the problem of the Niger Delta is terrain, in addition to the level of industrialization and agricultural activities, that there is need to establish an institute that will monitor the environment, evaluate it, and have ability to intervene in terms of degraded areas, to making sure that they are being restored. You know, so a kind of an idea to ensure that we have a conserved or a sustainable environment for the Niger Delta. Because partly our responsibility is research, 70% research and 30% academics, that is teaching. So we've been able to do a lot in terms of research. We've been engaged in a lot of baseline studies. We have more than 40 reports, baseline studies and post-impact assessment studies, mostly for the oil industries and so on. One of the first EIA that was done in Nigeria, I can boldly say that is a NAFCON, was done by the Institute of Pollution Studies.
The major achievement that we have recorded since 2008, since I became the acting director of the Institute of Education, and since the Vice Chancellor assumed office, is that we had a lot of students in this institute that had overstayed, their durations of studies. And so between 2008 and 2010, precisely last year, under the auspices of the Vice Chancellor and with his encouragement, we were able to clear the backlog of students that were admitted right from 1991 and who just had 3 years to stay for their programs, but unfortunately had to spend over 10 years, some of them 15 years. And so when this current Vice Chancellor came, he was uncomfortable with the situation and gave a marching order and provided the enabling environment for us to be able to clear the backlog. And so by last year, precisely on the 8th of March last year, when a deadline was given for those students to graduate, we were actually able to graduate a lot of them, about 10 PhDs, 350 master's degrees, and about 150 postgraduate diploma in education degree holders within that period.
The institute was formerly called Institute of Flood, Erosion, Reclamation and Transportation, IFAT, when the university was created, and it's the only institute that was created with the same instrument that established the university. So, in 1992-93, we have been involved in many space programs, and then in 1993, we got involved with NASA. Then Professor Dago Fubara was the director, and while he was in US studying there, he worked in NASA. So NASA, even right now, is still in the space program now. So we're involved in NASA, and NASA was coming to Nigeria, and since then we've been involved in space research and so on. We are also members of the National Space Research and Development Agency, and Nigeria has launched 2 satellites into space. That's at 1, that's at X. That X was built entirely by Nigerian engineers, and my humble self was Oteme, one of the 9 professors involved in the board. And it's to the glory of UST. The UST is also remotely involved in the launching of the satellite. Yeah. So that's what we do here. We do consultancy, flood, erosion, reclamation, transportation studies at highways and so on. That things we do. And of course, the one that's given us more name than any other thing is the popular and famous MPhil and PhD program in environmental management, which came on board in 1996. We are graduated nothing less than 8,500 students. Yes, because every year we graduate about 114, 140. Just the last 2 years we have brought it down to 84, 86. Even now, this year now, we have about 112 that have come, but not selected yet. This is the flagship of UST. Anybody who is in the environment knows. Even in Nigeria, that's the new agency for regulation of environment, where I'm a member and registered to. The director of the zone is a graduate here, a PhD. West African Gas Pipeline, the MD is a student of this place. Ajib, the head person in charge of environment, graduate of this place. Chevron, Mobil, you name it. It's a very popular program. Very, very popular program. And in short, others are coming from us.
University of Science and Technology in Nigeria, we are the very first. That's one. When you also, even those who are coming on now, we are the only university with marine laboratory, marine engineer for marine engineering. We have always blazed the trail in everything we do. We were about the first to start talking about e-library as far back as 2004. Today, we have one of the best e-libraries. Most of our operations, activities, routine jobs are done automatically using the electronic system, where very few activities in the library now are done manually. Very, very few. You can see me with my laptop, I write my reports, see the table. It's not as if we don't do any job. If I tell you what I have done this morning, you'll be amazed, but they're all here. And at the press of the button, we get our jobs done. When they come into the library, they are forced to use their electronic resources. And in that way, we're impacting on them. As I speak, we have at least 159,000 volumes of books. And then for the academic staff, they are very prolific. 2 years ago, one of our academic staff was the most published academic staff in Nigerian universities, declared by NUC. In fact, one Dr. Agondo, our OPAC system, online public access catalog, good. Through that catalog, we are able to access even Library of Congress, we are able to access the British Library, and the students have access to this OPAC. So the OPAC, we have kept them side by side with our manual catalog. And I would like others to come and borrow from us what we are doing here.
The purpose of establishing this was for the consultancy to use the total expertise of the university, right from the academic, administrative, and technical staff, as well as the infrastructural facilities in the university, to provide services to the public for which some money would be paid that could be used to augment whatever the university gets from the government. Such services could involve developmental projects, proposals for business operations, It could involve ordinary advisory aspects of projects. It could also involve implementation of projects. We also carry out some types of training for capacity building, which cannot be handled under normal NUEC academic programs. Such programs build capacity and enable us to equip our youths and even those who have retired in a way that they can live lives as total persons. For SPDC, for instance, we have been involved in deep soil investigation work. We also do quality assessment of some projects already done in the engineering field for SPDC. For NDDC, for example, when we wanted to have the master plan for Niger Delta development, we got the contract to provide the necessary information concerning the demographic conditions of all the 319 wards in Rivers State. And we went round and provided the information so that right now we have available information on what facilities are there in various local government areas and in various wards, what developmental projects could be put in place. We did that contract and provided the information needed.
The Health Services Department, by law, is established to take care of the health needs of both the students and the staff of the university. And over time, the department has functioned in this capacity as much as possible to make sure that the students receive adequate attention whenever they have health challenges, which of course can come up at any time. You know, these health challenges ranges from the common malaria, which is endemic in our environment, to more serious health challenges that occasionally will require surgery and at other times will require students being taken out of here to other health institutions. Now, for the staff, which also includes their families, the facility here is open 24 hours to attend to these health needs. Over the years, the Health Services Department suffered because of lack of funding, and the morale of staff went very, very low. But on coming on board with the support of the Vice Chancellor and the rest of the management team, there has been a major turnaround in this department. One of the major achievements has to do with a massive renovation of our facilities, bringing it to the standard that now makes staff and students to look forward to coming to receive care in the department. We also have a new ultra-modern medical center that has been built by the state government, which of course will completely turn things around when it comes to health care delivery in the university and the environment, because the plan is that that facility will be opened to people outside the university community.
What I know is that we still have about 20,000 student population, of which about 2,000 are given accommodation on campus. So for my understanding or for my record, I think the student population has stabilized, and I don't believe it has gotten any lower in the last 5 years. So we stay within the NUC approved quota. I can now tell you that in the last 1 year or last 2-3 years of this administration, the transformation that has occurred is palpable. I'm sure as you came through this campus, you would have gotten a sense of stability, a sense of calm. There is now a high degree of civility, and among the students there's a high degree of knowing what you can or cannot do. The social life is still quite active, but within regulations. No student group can, without any authority, randomly just associate themselves, gather people around campus without getting the requisite permission. So, like I said, you've not heard of any shooting or crime that is beyond the regular on campus, at least in the last 2-3 years.
Yes, there is relief because the manual system had a lot of omissions, but the e-system, whereby now the results are there and their information, the biodata are there, you have a number of them not omitted. That is a better one. So there's much relief, and it makes the work easier for us because we just get the biodata from the system and compile the list. It's much better for us.
Without going into too much detail, the devil is always in the details, as they say. Let it suffice to say that in this directorate, we have done as well as can be done to ensure that the students who are eligible for NYSC are mobilized.
The e-system provides students opportunity of making payments online, and it tries to eliminate some of the hurdles of students carrying cash, pay in wrong accounts, because the university system now has adopted a situation where fees are lodged according to the faculties in designated banks. So anywhere you are in the federation, so long as you have the bank sort code, the account number of the faculty, you can make any payment all over, wherever you are. And that reduces the stress of students having to converge in 1 or 2, 3 banks to make payments, and then sometimes you see a lot of irregularities that has to go on with students not being able to make this payment as scheduled, and it leads to maybe the students not paying on time because when they look at the crowd, they don't want to continue. They will say, let's take some time and do it. And you find that in the process of doing that, the date for payment has expired, and it attracts some penalty. But with the online payment, that crowd in the bank is eliminated. I think it gives us a better opportunity of recording, because before now, when it was manual, it used to be difficult for you to collect and report to management. But right now, it's simple.
Well, you are right. You say it's perception. I can say that for the past 4 years, since the administration of Professor Bibi Fakai came on stream, it has been different. Before now, it was cultism all over the place. It was non-release of results, delayed results. Students couldn't even go for NYSC. And we had all these problems all over the place, instability in the system. But since this man came, a lot has been changed. The results are released on schedule. People get their certificates on time. Our students now go on NYSC as at when due. There are no delays. The usual courtesan is no longer here. You can't find it. Nobody has been killed. Nobody has been shot. Nobody runs amok here. But in the past, it was a different thing. But now, this university has stabilized. That's why we're inviting people from outside to come and see things for themselves. You can look at the environment. You can look at the entire scenario that you can find in this campus. You see that a lot of things have changed. In fact, in the past, it was non-accreditation of courses. But since FACAI came on board, almost all our courses have been accredited, and we are going on as usual, as what a university should be. So we don't have a problem. And that is why you can see the international organizations, the business group coming to partner with the university.
I was admitted in this university in 2005, and prior to Professor B.B. FACAI, prior to 2007 when he came in, we knew, we are quite aware of how this place was. When it comes to infrastructure, you talk about the accreditation of programs, you also talk about cultism, the nature of security and all the rest of them. But now things have changed. Not only have they changed, they have changed for the better. With Professor B.B. FACAI, we can say the university is really approaching a world-class university. When it comes to programs, our programs have been accredited by the National University Commission. As a leader, as a student union president, I can certify that the state of the students' welfare is okay. When it comes to infrastructure, talk about our classrooms, the hostels, courses offered, services rendered by the university in general, lecturers and all the rest of them. I can confidently say the university has gone a long way in improving the welfare of our students. The stand of the Vice Chancellor on this issue is very important. He stands strongly against the victimization of the student by whoever, lecturers and all the rest of them. But because he stands against it and he preaches due process, he preaches academic excellence, everybody has really toed that line. The students, lecturers and all the persons involved. So presently, this issue of victimization of students is at its lowest ebb because the Vice Chancellor stands on that, and lecturers and all the parties involved have also toed that line. Sometimes students would always resort to violence where there is no need to resort to violence. But ordinarily, where there is no need to protest on an issue, I do not think students would protest. Because as it stands now, the situation is certified as okay, because now their interests, their welfare has been taken care of. Students would not resort to violence. But sometimes now we've not heard students protesting because those issues they've been complaining about has been tackled or is in the process of being tackled by the university authority.
The equipment profile of the university has also improved tremendously. By the 2011 convocation ceremony, an equipment parts fabrication workshop, advanced manufacturing center, the first of its kind in any Nigerian university, was commissioned.
We tend to build machines from design to building, and we have different machines for different components that we want to build in this place. Like this one, this is computer numerical control machine, and here this machine can be used for us shafts, nuts and bolts. You can use holes for you can expand the holes. So company are supposed to use for the machines. We start from here. So anything that is round, this is what machine going to give to us. This is what we call this one EDM, electric discharge machine. Now the purpose of this machine enable us produce molds. Like you want to make bottle, you need a mold. Like our mouse for our computer, we want to produce a mold. And then from there we now cast it in plastic. Then we have their mouse. So this machine is used for mold making. It's very hot. It's very rude. Sorry on the okay. You can see our visa down. So that tells you where we are going to.
Right.
You understand?
The E University.
E University. See? What we're trying to say is that this is a training room. And just as Professor FACAI wanted to say, this is an E University. You can see already on the net. And this place, the training is such that the machinery we want to build, the components, there are software we want to install here. The software we're going to install here, what is covered that When you finish designing whatever, you can assemble it on the screen. You can simulate it. If there's any failure, you see it. There on the screen, you can also change the material property and test it again. From there, this idea of trial and error is to the meaning.
Professor Barineme Beke Fakai is full of life and dynamism. He is a man who goes full throttle on anything he has set his mind to do. He equally blends this dynamism with great humility and public relations. What's his ultimate dream?
We have contributed much. We are training people and leaving them out there, and that's also part of our social responsibility. In government, so many persons who pass through UST, they are really making their waves, and I think we are serving the community and the society as dreamt by the founding fathers.